All right, guys, we are going to go through our risk score sheet. Sorry, that one's a tough one to say. Um, and you're going to notice we've got a few different things going on here. We've changed it a little bit. We actually put the life in days, how long these have been going, and we even have our garbage heap now. Things that have failed, how long they lived, and we have an average lifespan. So this will get, with only three, that's a very small size for an average. So I don't want any of these to die because I think I've got a little bit, at least a little bit in all of these, just to be trying them out. But I don't want any of them to end up in the garbage heap because they, you know, they basically print money for you. So yeah, that sustainability is the key factor on these. So yeah, let's run through the sheet. We just go one by one. Stable one, not a huge difference. I'm not a real fan of version twos of things because the first one failed, so there's just not a lot of confidence in the version twos, and we can see that with stable one. They've got less than half the balance they used to have in version 2 when they moved over, because people just don't have the confidence anymore going into a version 2 that they had with the first one. So that's one. I'm going to leave the risk level way up there. I might actually move it to 9 because the balance has actually been dropping a little bit. I think they were up around 850,000. I think now they're in the 700s. Yeah, they just don't have the confidence, and when you don't have confidence, people aren't investing, and when people aren't investing, we'll talk about this in a minute about B&B race. Those balances can drop very quickly. Profit, it's just kind of middle of the road for an ROI DAP at 7%. Sustainability, they have all their other tokens going on, and they're dragon NFTs and things like that, so that helps the sustainability because you have to buy into the tokens to kind of mature your dragon. So they have that going for them, otherwise I think that'd be pretty low. The version 2 was launched on February 21st, and it's been going on for 13 days, almost 2 weeks. Matic Staker, we have a lot to talk about Matic Staker here. I look in the chat, there's a lot of people that are they're really defending this thing, and I understand why. A lot of people have put a lot into it, and understandably, people want to get those returns. They're seeing those giant numbers. They want that 7,000. They want to make 74 times as much as they put in, whatever. But that's not sustainable for an ROI contract. These things do not, generate new tokens. You're basically trading these things around, and you don't want to be the last one to put into the pot, because then you get nothing. So yeah, make sure you watch. I've got a video on that if you don't understand how this works. I'll post it right here, and go ahead and look up how risky these things are. There's a reason they're called high risk. So yeah, let's look at this. 36 hours ago, this was at 12 million. They just passed the 12 million mark, and since then it's gone up 950,000 Matic in about 36 hours. Yeah, sorry if I said 12 hours. Yeah, 36 hours ago, this thing, it just crossed over 12 million. We've gone almost another million in a day. That sounds great. But the problem is this contract balance has dropped like 600,000 in that same time frame. So they got almost a million new staked, and the contract balance dropped 600,000. That is not good. That means that the withdrawals are outpacing the new investment and reinvestment. So unless everybody in this reinvests everything that's in there, it's not sustainable. Especially as we get further and further along, it's going to get more and more difficult. So because the contract balance drops, what happens is people are less likely to one invest because they see a balance dropping, so that removes even more coming in, combined with people that don't want to, this thing unlocks and they see that balance going down. They don't want to lock something up for another 2 weeks, 3, 4 weeks, because they see that thing dropping, so they don't reinvest, or they don't reinvest as much as they would have. So those are two things that are putting pressure on people not to put more into it. And then those rates, as we go further along, more is going to come out. A greater percentage is going to come out, by 0.5% every day. It's just going to keep getting, harder and harder to keep that contract balance up. So if people stop investing or reinvesting altogether, that contract balance could drain in a matter of a day or two. So be very, very careful with this. I'm not even linking this on any of my new videos, because I do not suggest, putting any new investment into this. So that one I'm actually moving up to a 10 on the risk. And honestly, I don't think it's sustainable. I'd be very, very, very surprised if it made it to April 5th. It's just not sustainable whatsoever. The only thing that thing's got going for it is that profit number. But I mean, if you put something in there right now, you'd probably never see it again, unless you were putting in for that Trix token. The problem is we don't know what that thing's going to be worth, what's going to be used for. We don't know the mechanics behind how it's going to generate, 2 or 3% a day, what was promised. We know nothing about that. So that's a giant gamble to put on something that's basically unknown, except for it's going to generate 3% a day forever. And I mean, yeah, we just don't know the tokenomics behind it. There's been no release around it. It's very vague. So I would be very, very careful with, dumping in a bunch of tokens in here for an unknown token at all. So be very, very careful about that. It is getting up there. It's 21 days old. So yeah, just watch that one. Phantom One, that balance has been kind of interesting. Yeah, it's at 284,000 right now. It went up over 300,000 yesterday. It came down to 269. Now it's back up to 284. It's just kind of sitting there. I think that risk is probably going to would go up if that thing drops below 250. But this is just a great little program that just keeps cranking things out. I think probably one of the best things to do, I love 7-day plans because it really reduces risk. Of course these things can drop very quick, and we'll talk about that in a second. But I love the 7 days because it really limits risk into these. And a lot of people say, well, you only get 19%. It's like, I will take 19% every week compounded any time of the week. I mean, that's just an incredible rate that nobody should be, saying only 19% in 7 days. If you took, 100 Matic and compounded it every 7 days at 19%, you're going to have, over 1 million something Matic at the end of the year. So, I know everybody's chasing the big gains, but also think about limiting your risk and how much you can compound. Fight for those little percentages. It's not all about the big gains all at once. But on the risk side, I'm gonna inch it up a little bit. I mean, it's getting older. Maybe I'll even put it at a 5. Profit is still pretty good. It's not going to change. And maybe the sustainability will pop it down a little bit because we just don't know what's going to happen. So I mean, yeah, I would think about that 7-day one on that one. It's been decent so far. It's been kind of just humming along. If it stays where it is for another week or two, that means it's probably pretty sustainable. People are reinvesting. It's just kind of generating, and that's what you really want to see. Matic Heaven. Yeah, this one I just had really high hopes for. It looked good. They had good, decent rates and things like that, but it just didn't get the traction. The interface didn't work out as well as was kind of advertised, and it just didn't get the kind of the hype that some of the bigger ones did. It's not a bad dApp, but I think they could have done more to kind of make things a little more fluid on the interface, and probably a little more open their community a little more instead of just getting an agency to be their mods. I wish the owners and stuff would have been a lot more involved and communicating and just kind of being in it. So with that, the risk we had at 8, I'm going to keep it up there. I'm actually going to go to 9 because that balance has been dropping. The profit's decent. Sustainability, I might move that to 2. So yeah, that one just, I don't know. I almost feel bad, but it's just, yeah, it's where it is. But I mean, if you did get in early, you could have jumped in there and done a week or two and, compounded a couple times and done pretty well, if you jumped in on day 1. Matic FOMO, this thing just keeps kind of cranking. I think a lot of the people that kind of are seeing the writing on the wall on Matic Staker see this as an alternative. I think it partially is, but I think eventually it's going to kind of have the same fate. So just a caution there. But I think we're, if we look at the timeline, this thing's 12 days old, Matic Staker is 21 days old, but this one doesn't have as high of rates and it doesn't compound as much, so there's not going to be as much coming out, but their balance is really growing. So this one, I think I'll just leave it at a 4 for risk because it's got a giant balance that's continuing to grow. And I think they're going to overtake Matic Staker's balance soon. It's got really good profit. It's going to keep creeping up there. We'll probably move that up in the next few days. So far, the sustainability is pretty good. Yeah, just with that balance, I think a lot of people coming over from Matic Staker will keep that going up. So I think I'll just keep that at an 8 right now. There's not a lot different there. It's just been slowly creeping up there. It's 12 days old. I think judging by what's going on with Matic Staker and because it's a similar concept with the different plans. That's 10 days. I think I think it would have a good 14 days in it. Just remember, I'm not giving you advice. I'm not, I cannot predict the future. Some of these might be wrong. I'm just going off of what I'm seeing and what kind of has happened in the past. So just remember that. Multimatic, what it's really got going for it is it's much newer. It's got locked plans, so it kind of keeps that pressure, that downward pressure off the balance. And also, if you just saw my recent video, they released a lotto, which keeps putting more money back into the balance on top of the staking. So that's a really good option. Plus, they have the higher taxes on withdraw. A lot of people are, they complain about those taxes, but it really helps keep that balance going and keeps it sustainable. Profit again is good. Sustainability, I'll probably keep that. So yeah, those two are my top favorites right now. Yeah, and it's only that one's only 6 days old, so I mean, yeah, you'd easily be probably pretty safe. I can't guarantee any of these things because they can fail pretty quickly, But I would feel comfortable putting another deposit on a 14-day stake there. Daily Matic, this one, it's just a clone off of Stable One. I've done some research into the domain, their servers, and they don't appear to be tied at all to Stable One. I've also gone to the Telegram group and kind of pressed, and they say they're not part of the Stable One group. But I mean, the balance has been going up. It's doing okay. I'm still leery about how close it is to Stable One, especially being on the same network and everything. With that, the profit is a little bit higher. It's 8%. Sustainability, I'm still not sure yet. When something's cloned off of something that's already running, and they only change like one rate, it's tough to take market share from. I guess the only thing they have is the people that were in V1 of Stable One, people are familiar with it, so they can move over easily. I don't think there's really any changes there. Of course, it's only been around for 4 days, so that's one thing that's going well for it. Matic X, I'm leaving the risk up here. A lot of people are like, hey, it's got a lot staked. It's like 600,000 is staked. But the problem with that is, as soon as you deposit, they take a 14.5% fee, owner's fee. And then there's referral fees if you use a referral, and then they also provide you the interest like right away. You can withdraw it right away, which is an interesting concept. You get your rewards off of your initial investment right away, and then you have to wait for the end of the block period to withdraw what's equal to your initial investment. The problem with that is 600,000 staked, but it's only got 200,000 in their contract, in the balance. I mean, that's a huge difference. And if they start paying out these initial investments, they could drop quick. So that's one thing I'd be very cautious about. I'll leave that risk up there. Profits are pretty decent. Sustainability, I'm still wondering about, because they don't need to pay the extra returns. They just need to pay initial deposits back. But I would still be careful with that. It's a new concept. Yeah, it's only 6 days old. It's doing pretty well. BNB Fury, this is one I added yesterday. It's only, launched yesterday morning, so it just went over the 2-day mark. This one is on the Binance Smart Chain, and these ones I'm always cautious about because there's so many on the Binance Smart Chain that are scams. They're blasted all over the place. They're spammed in all the groups. So far, this one's going really well. They've got a lot staked. Let's look in here. Yeah, 2,612 staked, which is like 5 times as much as BNB Race. And with that, yeah, I haven't looked at so just over 1 million staked. Let's look at the thing. So 734,000 in value. So that's a decent chunk. That's doing very well for not being 48 hours old. So risk, I'm going to put that just kind of in the middle right now because they've got a very, very good balance. Profit is kind of in the middle of the road. I don't know, it's still too early to tell, but sustainability, I'm also going to put it in the middle of the road. It's not much of an analysis there, but it's very early. But you have to remember these things, if you jump in early, especially ones like this, they have a 7-day option, and those 7-day options are great because you can just compound them. At least do it once. You could try it once, and if it works out, you get 10-20% back, which is great. Let's there is a new dApp coming out tomorrow, and I will launch a video on that later tonight. And it will actually be on a different network. So I will share that with you later this evening. Let's go through the garbage heap. We don't need to go through this every time, but Levenue, it died this week. We'll just, give them a little memorial. They're developing more stuff, and they say they're gonna help those that were got stuck in V1. Yeah, that's one of those things. That's one of those ones that just it didn't have the momentum going near the end, and it just died off. B&B race, that was an interesting one. I posted a video about that. It had a pretty good balance, but then it just didn't have a community behind it, and that's very important. Having a community behind these things keeps the investment coming in. It keeps people reinvesting. But if people just come in there, stake and then pull out right away, and there's not a lot of new investment coming in, these things can drain very quick. And this is one of those things that it drained within, I think, a day and a half, and it was gone. They're giving quote unquote race tokens to those that were stuck in V1, and they're also saying they're going to put, they're going to make a V2, and they're going to send some of the fees, admin fees that they get from V2 back into V1 so people can withdraw. But a lot of those have turned out to be either empty promises or it doesn't work the way they hope, or if nobody puts into V2, then obviously there's nothing to put back into V1. And then Stable One, we've talked about Stable One many times before. We all kind of know what happened there, the withdrawal issues. Then they put the timer, and they promised everybody it was all fixed with the timer, and then out of nowhere, they said they're doing a V2 and shutting down V1. And so those people that kind of believed what they were hearing, that this thing's all fixed and it's going to go well, they deposited into V1, and a few days later they're told it's shut down and they're not going to get anything out of it. So that was just totally not a fair move to do. I understand that they refunded some people that had the withdrawal issues, but to just tell people everything's fine and then just totally move over to a new platform, that was just kind of a not good move to make. It did have a pretty good lifespan, though, as long as it did, with the promise it did. But I think that's because people couldn't withdraw anything. So yeah, that means we have so far an average lifespan of 27 days. As you can see, out of all these up here, Matic Staker's getting up there close to being on the average. And with the rates it has, that's very concerning. So just another warning on Matic Staker. Of course, make your own decisions. This is all about your own risk level. I'm just providing this information for you. Anyway, that's kind of the state we're in right now. We'll just keep adding new ones to this list and keeping them updated. And I'll try to get those these videos out to you as soon as I see new ones come out, because getting it early is very important. I'm going to also be getting more on our Twitter account and sending updates there. So the next few days I'll be posting more information about Twitter and how you can follow over there and get more up-to-date announcements. I'm actually developing a bot that's going to be sending out alerts when balances drop below a certain threshold, just so people can be alerted to what's happening with balances. Anyway, if you have any questions about these, or you don't agree with one of the assessments I made or something, go ahead and leave a comment. I'd like this channel to be more of a discussion about these and how we can play these better, than just saying everybody's wrong or whatever. I just want to provide as much information I can, and if you've got information you want to share, go ahead and share it. It's just helpful for all of us. Anyway, yeah, leave some comments down below, and if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, like this video, and we will catch you on the next one.